Hello guys, how are you? So in today's session we are going to talk about the Pandas library of the Python. So when we have to do some analysis on data, when we have some work on the data sets, then we're gonna use this Python library in Pandas because Pandas are very suitable with data sets. If we have to load the data set, then we're going to use this pandas library, and when we have to perform some operations on that data sets, to segregate that data set, to view that data sets, and to perform many operation on that data sets, then this pandas library is very useful to us. So that's why this panda library is important in the field of data science, data analytics, machine learning, deep learning, and AI. And because in all of these we have to deal with datasets, and the library is very useful to dealing with these datasets in Python. So let's get started with this pandas library. Pandas is an open source BSD licensed Python library providing high performance, easy to use data structures and data analysis tools for the Python programming language. So Pandas library is open source. Anyone can download and install this Pandas library in their system and can use it for any purposes. And this Pandas library is very useful to doing the high performance task on the datasets or anything. And also it is very easy to use to perform the data structures and data analysis in the Python programming language. Then comes the pandas. Python with pandas is used in a wide range of fields, including academic and commercial domains, including finance, economics, statistics, analytics, etc. In this tutorial we will learn the various features of Python pandas and how to use them in practice. So as you can see, the Python with pandas is very used in a wide range of fields. As you all know, in academics and commercial domains, we have to deal with data sets. Like we in finance, we have the data sets of finance. In economics, we have the data sets of some stocks and all. In statistics, we have the numbers. In we have the data sets in numerical format. In analytics, we have the data in categorical or numerical format. So to deal with all of these domains and to perform the operations on to do something on these domains, we have to deal with datasets. And to deal with datasets, this pandas library is very useful to us in Python programming languages. So to install this pandas library in your system, like if you are using the Python mean IDLE, the integrated development learning environment, which is provided by the Python, if you are using that, then you can just open the CMD and type this command pip install pandas. And if you are using the environment, then you can just activate your environment and just type pip install pandas. Through this, your if you don't have pandas in your Python, if you don't have pandas library in your system, then the pandas library will get installed. And make sure you have the active internet, of full furnished internet connection for this. Then if you are using the anaconda, and if you make some environments in that, then you can just open the anaconda and prompt, and if you have any environment in anaconda, then you can just activate that environment and type this command conda install -c anaconda pandas. So through this, the pandas library will get installed in your anaconda environment or base environment. Next comes the dataset. Here, to as you all know, the pandas is used to deal with datasets. So here we're gonna use the our dataset to perform some operations. So in this session, I'm gonna tell you some operations in pandas which are useful to deal with the datasets which you get. So to do the operations on a dataset, we're gonna use this adult salary datasets. In this dataset contains the values of persons with their specifications and their salary. So it is like if a person having some salary in X, and the specification of that person is written in some columns. So by just getting those dataset, we see that if a person is single, if a person is under this age, or if a person is married or unmarried, then his salary or her salary is like this. So this is the data set that we get, and we perform some operations on these data sets through pandas. So first of all, if you want to read the dataset, like if you have dataset in the CSV format or you have the dataset in Excel format, then you can just load that dataset by just typing dataset is equal to pd dot read underscore CSV, and in colons or semi in single quoted or the double quoted, you can just type the name of dataset with their extensions. Here I have the dataset in CSV format, then I can just type dataset is equal to pd dot read underscore CSV. PD is nothing but the pandas library. PD is the alias name of that pandas. And if I have the dataset in Excel format, then I can just type dataset is equal to pd dot read underscore Excel, and in single quotes or double quotes I can write dataset name dot xlsx. This is the extension for the Excel file, and in dataset we get the whole dataset in the data from frame format. Like when we load the datasets in the pandas library, then this pandas library will load the dataset and give that dataset to the variable in the format of data frame. And there is nothing much difference in data frame and dataset. Here the only difference is data frame contains another extra column having the column name index, and in the index it contains the values from 0 to the number of rows minus 1. So it make the data frame of that datasets just by adding a new column of index in the dataset. It is doesn't matter that your dataset containing any index column or not, still it's gonna make a new column index by the pandas, and that data frame will save in the variable dataset. Next comes the to view the dataset in the sample format. Like if I load the dataset here, I in A I have data frame. As I told you, there is no difference between data frame and dataset except extra column in data frame. So if I want to see that data frame, I can just type the variable name of that data frame dot head and parenthesis. It will show the top 5 rows, I think. Here I just typed the wrong value. Sorry for that. Let me change this. Yes. So here by just typing a dot head, it will show the top 5 rows of that data frame. And if I want to see the specific columns and rows of a data frame, then I can just type dataset dot iloc rows and columns. Like I have dataset in the variable a, and then I can just type the name of the data frame or dataset, then just type dot iloc, and here I type the rows, the starting number of rows and the ending number of rows. I want the all rows, so that's why I type nothing after and before the colon. And if I want the first 10 columns dataset, first 10 columns of the data frame, then I can just type colon dataset. I don't type anything before the colon. So here I get the dataset. Here I can see the dataset, or I can store this dataset into another variable. And if I want to see the data frame or dataset of a specific column, then I can just type the variable name dot in parentheses. I can write the column name, and I have to write the column name in the single quotes or double quotes. Then comes the save the datasets. Like I have the dataset in a number format, and I just update the dataset, add a new column, add new rows, and change some values in the datasets by just adding two values by multiplying into 10. And like let's take a real-time example. Like I have a dataset of salaries in the salaries of employees in my company, and if I want to update the salaries at the end of the month of my employees, then I can just load that dataset, update the value, and if new members came, I just add new rows. And then after this, I have to save that data frame into some format like CSV format or Excel format. Then I can use this, write the data frame name dot to underscore CSV, and in parentheses, I just type the name in which I want to save the data set. So here Here you can type any name rather than dataset. .csv is compulsory if you want to save the dataset in CSV format. And if you want to save the dataset in Excel format, then you can just type a.to_excel dataset name .xlsx, because this is the extension for Excel file. And you can also save the dataset in JSON, HTML, SQL, and pickle format. And maybe there are new format comes in the Pandas library, which are supported in Pandas library, and you can save that. You can save the data frame in that format also. So next comes the handling the missing values. Like if you have some missing values in your data frame, then you can just get those missing values, or you can get rid of those this missing values by just typing data frame dot drop na parenthesis. By just typing this, the columns having the null values, all those columns will get dropped. And if you fill the values of those, if you want to fill those null values, you can just type data frame dot fill value dot nan value dot null value will get filled. And if you want to see the number of null values in your data frame, then you can just type dataset or data frame name dot is null parenthesis dot sum. And after this, just running this, you get the all the columns, and the separately you get the number of nan or null values in your respective columns. Then comes the creating and handling columns. Like if you want to create a new column in your data frame, then you can just type df, and in parentheses and in square brackets you write the new column name, and you can just type the column name of another data set or data frame. Then if you want to add the 10 number in your data frame, then you can just type df is equal df column name equals to df column name plus 10. And if you want to just add two columns and save that column in a new column or the some existing column, then you can just type df in square bracket, type the column name and equals to df column 1 plus df column 2. Here by this you can update your columns. And that's all for this pandas. Now let's go on to our next part, which is the coding session. I just opened my Spider IDE, and today we are going to use this Spider IDE for our tutorial for this session. So first of all, I want to import the pandas library, and here I forgot to tell you that I set the path of this spider in Python course folder. There I make a new folder named pandas, and there in new folder named pandas I save my file pandas space basics.py. And in this folder I also have, let me see the files. Here as you can see, I have two files, adultsalary.csv in my pandas folder, and pandas basics.py, which is this Python code which I open in front of you. So let's start with this. Import pandas as PD. As you all know, PD is the alias name for pandas. Let me import this, and let me load the data frame, or you can say dataset, from by using the pandas library read.csv. Because I have the dataset in CSV format, that's why I'm using the pd.read_csv. And I just type adult salary. My god, yes, adult salary dot csv. So here as you can see, I have the data frame having the size 32,560 rows and 15 columns. When I open this, just wait for a while, and here as you can see, I have this number of columns and these are the rows. And I just tell you that if you have a data set, and when you load the data set by using the pandas, it will save into the data frame format. And when you convert your data set into data frame, there is nothing changed, except it will include an extra column which is index. And in index it has values from 0 to number of rows -1. And let me close this. Now let's perform some operations which I told you. And first of all, I want to show you the head, the starting 5 rows. Then you can just type df dot head, execute this. Here as you can see, you can see the first five rows 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the first five rows, and here are the values. And if you want to see the last five rows, then you can just type df dot tail parenthesis, execute this. Here you can see the last five rows, and these are the column names. So okay, then let's start with this. What else? We have read the dataset, we have viewed the dataset. Oh, let me view the dataset in slicing format. So df dot ilog, I want to see the first 10 rows, and from fifth column to last columns. I want to see the all the columns from 5 to end. So let me show this, and as you can see here, it takes the first 10 rows, and fifth row is never married, and this is the number of rows. So let me save this so that you can easily see this. Okay, now as you can see here, it has these much number of columns, but when I start from 5, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, from this column to the end of the column, it will take whole the data set, and it will take the first 10 rows of the data set. Okay, now let's perform the next operations. Save the dataset. I will do this dataset when we have performed some operations. Then at last I will show you how to save the datasets. Then handling missing values. So df dot, let me see the number of missing values in my dataset. To see the number of missing values, I can just write the data frame name dot is null dot sum. Here as you can see, we have nothing null value in our dataset. So if we have dataset having the null values, then we can just fill the df dot fill and value name, but we have nothing null value, so we don't have to care about this. Now, and if I just write this, then the column having the values null will get dropped automatically. Then creating and handling columns. Let me create new columns by just performing some operations on old existing columns. So let me take this small column dot head. Okay, and wait a second. Yes, actually what is done is like when I just get the dataset, and when we load this dataset adult salary.csv, then I just noticed this right now that it will take the first row as the header name. So to load the dataset so that it won't take the first row as the header name, we have to just write header equals to 0. And when we just write this and execute this, so here as you can see, when we open this, it won't take the header as the first row, it will take the header as the value which is originally given to this dataset. So let me execute these Python script again, and yes, now we have this df done df head, and I think that's all okay now. Okay, so if I want to add a new column in df, then I can just write df new column, and here I can just add two columns of df. Then let's say I can just add these two columns, 77516 and 13. So let me take it aside, and 77516 plus TF 13, or let's say 39. Let me execute this. Okay, 77516 is the key error. So what's the error? Wait for a while. Yeah, actually, what is the error is, as you can see, let me first open. This is the name, but here before this name it has space which we can't see. So when we, as you can see, when I just execute this, I get the error. But when I just add a space, and now let me select this and execute this, here as you can here as you can see, when I give space it will get executing. This is because the before name it has space, and if we don't write space while writing the name of data frame, then it will just give the error. So let me execute this, and as you can see, first of all we have the data frame having the columns 15, as you can see 15. Now I run this command, and I have new column in this our data frame. This is our new column, and here as you can see I add these two columns, 12285 to 25. So it will give 122310. Also, what we can do, like df new column 2 equals to, I just do this, new column into 10. So a new column is added to our data frame, and let's see the data frame. Background color. Okay. Yes. So here as you can see, our new column has in has the value 148473730, and this new column contains 1480730, which is get multiplied, and this new column is get multiplied by 10 and save in new column to column. So let me show you this in a better way. New column 2 dot head. It is in, as you can see, new column head of column 2, and these are the numbers which we have in new column, and when we multiply our new column with 10, it gets multiplied and show you the values of this. So what else the functions I have to show you? So I show you the how to create and handling the columns, create new columns and handling the existing columns, then handling the missing values in your data sets. Then I will show you this, save the data sets, and to view the sample data sets, then read the data set, and yes. So let's save the data set. DF is our new data sets having columns 17 and rows 32,560. So let me save this, df dot to csv. I write the name as new adult new adult salary dot csv. Let's execute this, and now I will show you the files. Here I have the adult salary dot csv already as we load this, and we have Python basics file, and this new adult salary.csv file is newly created, and it has, when we import this, let's import this and show you. When we import this new adult salary, and it will contains 18 columns, because when we save our data sets, then the index column is also get saved. As I told you, in data frame it will create a new column. So the last time when we save the data set data frame in CSV, then it takes the index column, and when we load this, then it will show as unnamed, and it will create a new index for the new operation when we write pd.read csv. Okay, and yeah, that's all for today's session for Pandas library in Python. And I want you all to, let's do more explore on this Pandas library, so that you can get more about it and try to more learn about it, and try to do code on your own, and try to do some research and development on these. Because if you do some research and development on this Python coding and in your coding stuff, then only you can enhance your coding skills. So that's all for today's session. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Keep motivated and keep learning.